Imagine this. The person you thought was your world just walked away. They turned their back, left you standing in the wreckage of what you believed was forever, expecting you to crumble, to chase, to beg for answers. They thought they knew you, knew exactly how you'd react. A flurry of desperate texts, late-night calls, or maybe a public display of heartbreak on social media, proving you're still tethered to their shadow. But what if you didn't give them that? What if, instead of breaking, you chose silence? Not the hollow, aching kind that eats you alive, but a deliberate, unshakable silence that says, I am enough without you. Welcome to ZENLIGHT 8, where we dive deep into the art of living with purpose, guided by the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and the relentless pursuit of self-improvement. Today, we're not just talking about moving on. We're talking about transforming pain into power, about becoming the man who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. Stick with me to the end, because I'm going to share practical steps you can apply right now to reclaim your life, your peace, and your strength. Hit that subscribe button on ZENLIGHT 8, and let's start this journey together. Picture this moment. She's waiting for your reaction, scrolling through her phone, expecting that familiar ping of your desperation. She's braced for your emotional outburst, ready to feel the weight of her influence over you. But it never comes. Days turn into weeks, and all she gets is silence. Not the petty game-playing kind, but the kind that radiates self-respect, the kind that screams you've chosen yourself over the chaos she left behind. This isn't about ignoring her to manipulate her. It's about refusing to let her define your worth. Silence, my friend, is not the absence of words. It's the presence of power. It's the choice to withhold your energy from someone who no longer deserves it. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who mastered the art of living, understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you choose silence, you're not just refusing to react. You're reclaiming your mind, your peace, your life. Let's break this down. When someone walks away, they expect you to chase because that's what most men do. They unravel, they plead, they pour their heart out in a text that's too long, too raw, too vulnerable. And in that moment, they hand over their power. She knows she matters because you've made her the center of your universe. But when you go silent, when you stop giving her the reaction she's counting on, you flip the script. Suddenly she's the one wondering, did she misjudge you? Were you stronger than she thought? Was she ever truly the center of your world, or was that just her illusion? This is where the real power lies, not in making her regret, but in making her irrelevant to your story. Let me share a story to bring this home. I once knew a guy named Jake, a regular dude from Chicago who thought he'd found the love of his life. When she left him for someone else, he was shattered. For weeks he was that guy, checking her Instagram, drafting texts he never sent, replaying their last fight in his head at 2 a.m. But one day he stumbled across a Stoic idea that changed everything. What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. In other words, why waste your energy on one loss when life is full of challenges? Jake decided to try something radical. He stopped checking her stories, deleted her number, and poured his energy into himself. He started hitting the gym at 5 a.m., not to post shirtless selfies, but to feel the burn of discipline. He picked up a journal, not to write about her, but to map out his goals. Learning to code, saving for a house, running a 5K. 3 months later, he ran into her at a coffee shop. She expected him to light up, to fumble, to show some sign that she still had a hold on him. Instead, Jake gave her a polite nod, a calm, "Good to see you," and walked away. That moment haunted her, not because he was cruel, but because he was untouchable. His silence wasn't empty, it was full of purpose. Now let's make this practical. How do you harness silence in your life today? First, commit to a 7-day no-contact challenge. No texts, no calls, no sneaky glances at her. Social media. If you're tempted, write down why you want to reach out. What are you hoping to gain? Then burn that paper. Literally, it's a Stoic exercise in letting go of what you can't control. Second, redirect your energy. Every time you think about her, do something for you. Read a chapter of a book. Try Meditations by Marcus Aurelius if you want to dive into Stoicism. Hit the gym, even if it's just 10 push-ups in your living room. Cook a meal that makes you feel alive. These small acts stack up, building a life that doesn't revolve around her. Third, reflect daily. Spend 5 minutes each night asking yourself, did I give my energy to what matters today? This isn't about suppressing pain, it's about channeling it into growth. The Stoics teach us that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Silence isn't about pretending you're not hurt. It's about choosing not to let that hurt define you. Here's the deeper truth. Silence creates space. In that space, she starts to question herself. Not because you're playing games, but because you've stopped playing hers. She expected chaos, but you gave her calm. She expected weakness, but you showed strength. And that shift, that unexpected stillness, forces her to confront her own choices. But more importantly, it forces you to confront yours. Because every moment you choose silence, you're choosing yourself. You're saying, my peace is worth more than your validation. You're building a life where you don't need her to feel whole. And that, my friend, is the kind of power that changes everything. So as we move forward, let's talk about how to take this silence and turn it into something even greater. A disciplined, unshakable control over your emotions that makes you not just a survivor, but a force to be reckoned with. Let's dive deeper into what it means to truly own your emotions. Because if silence is your shield, emotional control is your sword. Too many men live as prisoners to their feelings, reacting to every slight, every text, every glance like puppets on strings. One moment you're flying high because she liked your post. The next, you're spiraling because she didn't reply. That's not freedom. That's emotional slavery. Welcome back to ZENLIGHT, where we're breaking down how to live with purpose and power, drawing from the wisdom of Stoicism and the relentless drive for self-improvement. If you're ready to stop being a passenger in your own life and start steering the ship, stick with me. We're about to unpack how to master your emotions so you can face any storm without flinching. If you're finding value in this, hit that subscribe button on ZENLIGHT 8 and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's get to it. Emotional control isn't about shutting off your feelings or becoming a cold, unfeeling machine. It's about choosing when and how to respond, rather than letting the world dictate your state of mind. The Stoics, like Seneca, taught us that we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. Think about that for a second. How many nights have you lost sleep over a what if? What if she's with someone else? What if you'd said something different? That's your imagination running the show, not reality. A man who reacts on impulse, yelling in anger, begging in desperation, or chasing in jealousy, hands over his power to whoever triggered him. And when you're predictable, you're controllable. Let me paint a picture. Imagine a guy named Mike, a 30-year-old from Seattle who thought he had it all together until his girlfriend of 3 years ghosted him. One day, she was his rock. The next, she was gone, leaving nothing but a vague text about needing space. Mike's first instinct was to blow up her phone, to demand answers, to prove he was worth her time. But every unanswered message made him feel smaller, weaker, like he was begging for scraps of her attention. Then he stumbled across a Stoic principle. You don't control what happens to you, but you control how you respond. That hit him like a freight train. Mike decided to stop reacting. When she posted a cryptic story on Instagram, he didn't take the bait. When his friends asked about her, he didn't rant or cry. He just shrugged and said, I'm focusing on me. He started a morning routine, 10 minutes of meditation, a 3-mile run, and writing down one thing he was grateful for. Slowly, the fog of heartbreak lifted. 6 months later, he ran into her at a bar. She tried to spark a reaction, dropping hints about her new life, fishing for jealousy. Mike just smiled, wished her well, and walked away. That moment wasn't just a win over her, it was a win over himself. He'd mastered his emotions, and no one could take that from him. So, how do you build this kind of strength? Let's get practical. First, practice the pause. The next time you feel that urge to react, to text, to argue, to check her profile, stop. Take 5 deep breaths. Count to 10. Ask yourself, is this reaction serving me, or is it serving her ego? That pause is your power. It's the space where you decide who you are. Second, reframe your pain. The Stoics called this amor fati, love your fate. Instead of seeing heartbreak as a curse, see it as a teacher. Write down one lesson it's taught you. Maybe it's that you relied too much on her validation, or that you neglected your own goals. Use that lesson to fuel your growth. Third, build a fortress of habits. Emotional control isn't a one-time decision. It's a muscle you strengthen daily. Start small. Wake up at 6 a.m., hit the gym for 20 minutes, or read a page of philosophy. These aren't just tasks. They're declarations that you're in charge. Over time, they stack up, turning you into a man who doesn't flinch when life throws a punch. Let's go deeper with a Stoic lens. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond." The power of our will. When she walks away, when she ignores you, when she posts with someone new, that's beyond your control. But your response, that's all you. The man who masters this doesn't just avoid pain, he transcends it. He becomes a force not because he's loud or aggressive, but because he's unshakable. His calm is his armor. His discipline is his weapon. And when she sees that, when she sees you standing tall, unmoved by her games, she realizes she's lost something she can't replace. Not your love, but your strength. Here's the real kicker. Emotional control isn't just about her. It's about every challenge you'll face. The boss who disrespects you, the friend who betrays you, the dream that falls apart. When you learn to stay grounded in the storm, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're building a life where no one can pull your strings because you've cut them yourself. So as we move forward, let's explore how this control transforms into something even more powerful. The psychological edge of reverse psychology, where your absence becomes louder than your presence ever could. Now that you've learned to wield silence and master your emotions, let's talk about a force so subtle yet so powerful it can shift the entire dynamic of how others see you. Reverse psychology. This isn't about playing mind games or manipulating anyone. It's about understanding human nature and using it to reclaim your power. Welcome back to ZENLIGHT, where we're diving into the Stoic principles and self-improvement strategies that help you live with intention and strength. If you're ready to discover how your absence can speak louder than any words, keep listening. We're unpacking practical ways to apply this in your life today, so stick around and hit that subscribe button on ZENLIGHT 8 to join our community of growth-driven men. Here's the truth. People don't value what's always there. It's why. A diamond is prized. It's rare, hard to obtain. When you chase someone, when you flood their phone with texts or linger in their orbit, you become predictable, common, taken for granted. But when you step back, when you vanish without a trace, you create a void. And the human mind hates voids. It craves answers, certainty, closure. By giving her nothing, no texts, no likes, no hints of your pain, you force her to confront that void. You make her question her own worth, not because you're cruel, but because you've chosen to prioritize your own. Let's ground this in a story. Meet Alex, a 28-year-old from Austin who was blindsided when his fiancée called off their engagement. For weeks, he was a wreck, scrolling through her posts, wondering what he did wrong. He was ready to send her a novel-length email, pouring out his heart, begging for a second chance. But then he read something by Zeno, the founder of Stoicism. Man conquers the world by conquering himself. Alex realized chasing her was conquering nothing. It was surrender. So he stopped. No more texts, no more lurking on her socials, no more asking mutual friends for updates. Instead, he threw himself into his passion, photography. He started waking up at dawn to capture sunrises, not to impress her, but to feel alive. He enrolled in a course, built a portfolio, even landed a small gig shooting a local event. 6 months later, she texted him, "Hey, how have you been?" expecting him to jump at the chance to reconnect. Alex replied, "Doing great, thanks," and left it at that. That short, neutral response wasn't petty. It was powerful. It said, "My world no longer revolves around you." Her follow-up texts went unanswered, not because he was playing hard to get, but because he was genuinely busy building a life he loved. That's reverse psychology at work. You're not trying to make her jealous or win her back. You're living so fully in your own purpose that she can't help but notice the gap you've left. The Stoics understood this principle through their concept of apatheia. Not apathy, but freedom from being controlled by external passions. When you withdraw your attention, you're not just creating mystery, you're creating space for your own growth. And in that space, she starts to wonder. Not because you posted a gym selfie or a cryptic quote, but because you're gone. Your absence becomes a mirror, reflecting her choices back at her. Did she underestimate you? Has she lost someone irreplaceable? These questions aren't your goal. They're the byproduct of you choosing yourself. Let's make this actionable. Start with a 14-day digital detox. Unfollow her, mute her stories, archive old chats. If you're tempted to check, replace that urge with a 5-minute action, a quick workout, a journal entry, or even a walk around the block. Next, invest in something that makes you feel alive. Maybe it's learning a skill, cooking, coding, or even playing guitar. The goal isn't to show off. It's to remind yourself that your energy is yours to direct. Finally, practice gratitude. Every day, write down one thing you're thankful for that has nothing to do with her. Maybe it's the coffee you drank this morning, the friend who checked in, or the fact that you woke up with a chance to be better. This rewires your brain to focus on what you have, not what you've lost. Here's where it gets profound. Reverse psychology isn't just about relationships, it's about life. The job that didn't work out, the friend who betrayed you, the dream that fell apart, they all lose their power when you stop chasing them. When you focus on what you can control, your effort, your mindset, your growth, the world starts to chase you. People feel your energy shift. They see a man who's not begging for validation, not scrambling for approval, but quietly building a life of purpose, and that's magnetic. That's what makes her wonder, not just about you, but about herself. What did she miss? What could have been? But by then, you're too far into your own journey to care. So, as we move forward, let's explore how to take this energy and channel it into something even greater, rising through pain, turning your wounds into wisdom, and building a life that's untouchable. Pain is a brutal teacher, but it's also the fire that forges you into something unbreakable. When someone walks away, they don't just leave you with a broken heart, they leave you with a choice. Let the pain destroy you, or let it rebuild you. Welcome back to ZENLIGHT 8, where we're diving into Stoic wisdom and self-improvement to help you become the man you were meant to be. If you're ready to turn your scars into strength, stay with me. We're about to unpack how to rise through pain with practical steps you can start today. If this resonates, hit that subscribe button on ZENLIGHT 8 and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's dive in. Most men run from pain. They drown it in distractions, endless Netflix binges, late-night bars, or scrolling through X until their eyes burn. But running only delays the inevitable. Pain doesn't vanish. It festers, turning into regret, self-doubt, or bitterness. The Stoics saw pain differently. Seneca said, "Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men." Pain isn't your enemy. It's your crucible. It strips away illusions, exposes your weaknesses, and forces you to confront who you really are. The man who rises through pain doesn't numb it. He faces it head-on, then uses it to build something stronger. Let me tell you about David, a 35-year-old from Denver who hit rock bottom after his wife left him. For months, he was stuck, replaying their last argument, wondering if he could have fixed things. He'd drive by their old house, hoping for a glimpse of her, torturing himself with what-ifs. Then one day, he picked up a copy of Epictetus's Discourses and read, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That was his wake-up call. David stopped running. He started waking up at 5 a.m., not to chase her memory, but to chase himself. He signed up for a marathon, not to post about it, but to prove to himself he could endure. He journaled every night, not about her, but about his goals, starting a business, traveling to Japan, learning to cook. A year later, he crossed the finish line of that marathon, 26.2 miles of proof that pain had made him stronger. When his ex reached out, expecting the broken man she'd left, she found someone else, a man who'd turned his pain into purpose. Here's how you can do this. First, embrace the pain. Don't hide from it. Set aside 10 minutes today to feel it fully. Write down what hurts, what you lost, what you wish you'd done differently. Then tear that page out and let it go. This is a Stoic practice, acknowledging what you can't change and moving forward. Second, build one new habit. It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's 15 push-ups every morning, a 5-minute meditation, or reading a page of a book like The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. These small wins compound, turning pain into momentum. Third, set a goal that's yours alone. Not to impress her, not to prove anything to anyone, but to remind yourself what you're capable of. Maybe it's saving $1,000, running a 10K, or learning a new skill. Every step toward that goal is a step away from the past. Let's go deeper. Pain, when you lean into it, reveals your dependencies. Maybe you relied on her for validation, for purpose, for happiness. That's not weakness, it's human. But it's also a wake-up call to build a life that stands on its own. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from self-reliance, from knowing that no one can take your peace unless you give it away. When you rise through pain, you're not just healing, you're evolving. You're becoming a man who doesn't need external approval, who finds strength in his own discipline, who walks through the world with quiet confidence. And here's the beauty. This transformation isn't loud. You don't need to post about it on X or tell your friends. You live it. You show up every day, putting in the work, not for her, not for validation, but for the man in the mirror. And when she looks back, whether it's weeks or years later, she won't recognize you. Not because you're trying to make her regret, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself she left behind. So, as we move forward, let's talk about the next step. Detachment, the art of letting go without losing yourself and building a life so full that the past becomes irrelevant. Detachment isn't about building walls around your heart or pretending you're untouchable. It's about choosing peace over chaos, about reclaiming your energy from the things that no longer serve you. It's the ultimate act of self-respect. Welcome back to ZENLIGHT 8, where we're exploring Stoic wisdom and self-improvement to help you live with purpose and power. If you're ready to let go of the past and step into a life that's truly yours, stay with me. We're diving into practical ways to detach and rise, so hit that subscribe button on ZENLIGHT 8 and let's get started. When someone walks away, they take a piece of you, not because they're cruel, but because you gave it to them. Every text you send, every glance at their profile, every moment you spend wondering what they're doing is a piece of your power handed over. Detachment is about taking it back. It's about realizing that your worth doesn't live in their approval, their attention, or their regret. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, taught us to focus only on what's within our control. Our thoughts, our actions, our choices. You can't control whether she comes back or regrets leaving you, but you can control where you direct your energy. Let me share a story. Tom, a 32-year-old from New York, was devastated when his long-term girlfriend moved across the country for a new job, ending their relationship without warning. For months, he was trapped in a cycle of checking her ex posts, hoping for a sign she missed him. He'd see her with new friends, new places, and it tore him apart. Then he stumbled across a Stoic idea. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Tom realized he was choosing his pain by clinging to her. He made a decision. No more checking her posts, no more waiting for her to reach out. Instead, he poured his energy into his passion for woodworking. He started building furniture, not to show off, but to create something with his hands. He joined a local makers group, met new people, and started selling his pieces at a farmer's market. When his ex texted him months later, fishing for a reaction, Tom didn't feel the old pull. He didn't need her validation anymore. He'd found it in himself. Here's how you can detach today. First, create boundaries. Delete old messages, unfollow her on social media, and if you can't, use an app to block her accounts for 30 days. This isn't about spite, it's about protecting your peace. Second, replace old habits with new ones. If you used to check her profile at night, use that time to do something for you. Read a book, listen to a podcast like ZENLIGHT 8, or write down your goals. Third, practice self-validation. Every day, look in the mirror and say one thing you're proud of. Maybe it's that you got through a tough day, or that you hit the gym for the first time in months. These small acts rebuild your sense of self, brick by brick. Detachment is magnetic because it shifts your energy. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. People notice a man who's centered, who doesn't need to prove anything, who moves through the world with quiet confidence. The Stoics called this eudaimonia, a state of flourishing that comes from living in alignment with your values. When you detach, you're not just letting go of her, you're letting go of the need for anyone's approval. You're building a life so full, so rich that the past becomes a distant memory. She might reach out, she might not, but it won't matter because you found something better, yourself. So, as we move forward, let's talk about the cold shoulder effect. How your calm, composed presence can speak louder than any words, leaving the past behind for good. There's a moment that changes everything. The moment you cross paths with the person who broke your heart, and instead of crumbling, you stand tall, calm, and completely composed. That's the cold shoulder effect, and it's not about ignoring someone or playing games. It's about showing the world and yourself that you've moved beyond their influence. Welcome back to ZENLIGHT, where we're diving into Stoic wisdom and self-improvement to help you live with unshakable strength. If you're ready to learn how to embody this quiet power, stick with me. We're unpacking practical steps to make this real in your life. So hit that subscribe button on ZENLIGHT 8 and let's dive in. The cold shoulder effect is about presence, without reaction. It's the moment she reaches out, maybe with a casual, "Hey, how's it going?" expecting you to light up, to fumble, to show some crack in your armor. She's testing the waters, looking for proof that she still matters. But when you respond with calm neutrality, a polite nod, a brief, "I'm good, thanks," and nothing more, you shatter her expectations. You're not rude, not bitter, not desperate. You're just done. And that's what makes it so powerful. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things." In other words, let her think what she wants. Your peace is worth more than her opinion. Let me tell you about Chris, a 29-year-old from San Francisco who learned this the hard way. After his girlfriend cheated and left, he was a mess, stalking her ex-posts, hoping for a sign she'd come back. Every new photo she posted felt like a knife. Then he found Stoicism and the idea that you don't have to turn this into suffering. Chris decided to rebuild. He started boxing, not to look tough, but to channel his anger into something productive. He took up journaling, writing down his thoughts to clear his mind. When he ran into his ex at a mutual friend's party, she tried to spark a reaction, dropping hints about her new life, waiting for him to bite. Chris just smiled, said, "Glad you're doing well," and walked away to talk to someone else. That moment wasn't just closure, it was freedom. He didn't need to prove anything because he'd already proven it to himself. Here's how you can embody the cold shoulder effect. First, practice neutrality. The next time you're tempted to react emotionally, whether it's to her, a coworker, or a stressful situation, pause. Take a deep breath and respond with calm, measured words. Practice this in small moments, like when someone cuts you off in traffic. Second, prepare for the encounter. If you know you might see her, rehearse a neutral response in your mind. "Good to see you. Take care." Keep it short, keep it calm. Third, focus on your presence. Stand tall, speak slowly, make eye contact. Not to intimidate, but to show you're grounded. These habits don't just work with her. They work in every area of your life, from job interviews to tough conversations. The cold shoulder effect is about showing, not telling. You don't need to say you're over her. Your actions say it louder. You're not ignoring her out of spite. You're prioritizing your peace, and that's what makes it devastating. Not to her, but to the version of you she thought she knew. She expected a storm, but you gave her calm. She expected a broken man, but you showed her a whole one. That's the Stoic way, to live so fully in your own truth that external judgments lose their power. So, as we move forward, let's talk about the final level, the state of true indifference, where you're not just surviving the past, but thriving beyond it. There comes a point in your journey where the pain fades, the anger dissolves, and the need for closure vanishes. You wake up one morning and she's not on your mind. Not because you forced her out, but because you've outgrown her. This is indifference, the highest level of freedom, the ultimate destination of your growth. Welcome back to ZENLIGHT, where we're diving into Stoic wisdom and self-improvement to help you become the man you were meant to be. If you're ready to embrace a life where the past no longer holds you, stay with me. We're unpacking how to reach this state and live it every day, so hit that subscribe button on ZENLIGHT 8, and let's finish this journey strong. Indifference isn't coldness or cruelty. It's not pretending you don't care while secretly hoping she notices. It's the moment you genuinely stop caring, not out of spite, but out of peace. The Stoics called this ataraxia, a state of serene calm where external events no longer disturb your inner world. It's when her name doesn't trigger you, her posts don't pull you, and her choices don't define you. You've reclaimed your mind, your time, your life. Let me share a final story. John, a 34-year-old from Miami, spent a year haunted by his ex-wife's betrayal. He'd check her ex profile, hoping for a sign she regretted leaving. Every new post felt like a personal attack. Then he found Stoicism through a podcast like this one and read Seneca's words. You must reflect that it is not possible to depart from life in the same way you came into it. John realized he couldn't go back to who he was before the pain, but he could become someone better. He started small, a daily 2-mile walk, a gratitude journal, a commitment to learning Spanish for a trip he'd always dreamed of. He stopped checking her posts, not because he was trying to be strong, but because he was too busy living. A year later, when she emailed him out of the blue, John felt nothing, no anger, no longing, just a quiet acknowledgement that she was part of his past, not his present. He replied politely, wished her well, and moved on with his day. That was indifference, not a performance, but a state of being. Here's how you can reach it. First, build a life that excites you. Find one thing that lights you up. Maybe it's hiking, writing, or volunteering at a local shelter. Do it for you, not for likes or validation. Second, practice daily reflection. Every night, ask yourself, what did I do today to move toward my best self? Write down one win, no matter how small. Third, let go of the need for closure. The Stoics teach us that closure comes from within, not from someone else's apology or regret. Write a letter to her, not to send, but to release. Pour out everything you feel, then destroy it. That act is your closure. Indifference is freedom because it's the moment you stop living in reaction. You're no longer swayed by her choices, her words, or her silence. You're living with intention, building a life that's yours alone. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you reach this state, the world notices. People feel your calm, your focus, your strength. You walk differently, speak differently, carry yourself with a quiet power that doesn't need to shout. She might reach out, she might not, but it won't matter because your life is too full to care. This is the Stoic ideal. A life where your happiness depends on nothing but your own virtue and effort. So, as we wrap up, let's bring this all together with some final words on how to live this every day and why this journey is about so much more than moving on. It's about becoming unstoppable. Welcome to the end of this journey, my friend. You've learned to wield silence like a shield, to master your emotions like a sword, to use absence to shift the dynamic, to rise through pain, to detach with purpose. and to embody calm in the face of chaos. Now let's talk about how to live this every day in the modern world. The principles we've explored, silence, emotional control, reverse psychology, rising through pain, detachment, the cold shoulder effect, and indifference, are rooted in Stoicism. But they're not ancient relics, they're tools for today. In a world of constant notifications, endless scrolling, and pressure to prove yourself, these ideas are your anchor. Start small. Set a morning routine that grounds you. Maybe 10 minutes of meditation, a quick workout, or writing down one goal for the day. Protect your energy. Unfollow accounts that drain you, limit your X time to 30 minutes a day, and focus on what builds you up. Set a big goal. Maybe it's running a marathon, starting a side hustle, or traveling to a place you've always wanted. To see, every step you take is a step toward a life that's yours, not defined by someone else's choices. The Stoics believe that true happiness comes from living in alignment with your values, from knowing that no one can take your peace unless you let them. So, choose discipline over distraction, purpose over pain, yourself over the past. This is your moment. You're not just healing, you're rising. You're not just surviving, you're thriving, and the world will feel it. If this journey has shifted something in you, I want you to do 3 things for ZENLIGHT 8. First, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Second, share this with one person who needs to hear it, a friend, a brother, someone stuck in the pain you're leaving behind. Third, drop a comment below and type power to let me know you're ready to rise. Better yet, share your story. Tell us one thing you're doing today to choose yourself. Your story might just inspire someone else to start their journey. Thank you for being here, for showing up, for choosing growth. This is ZENLIGHT 8, and I'll see you in the next video.